Welcome to
Crazy, right?
a podcast
Be your own person.
for those affected by
Crazy, right?
mental health.
I wanted to just try it.
Crazy,
It's something that I've struggled with for a while.
Featuring live improvised music
Now I finally got my head right again.
by your host,
am I right? Crazy,
It feels good to talk about it.
right? Crazy, right?
Dave Asher.
My guest today is Violet. She is a musical artist who writes, produces, and performs hard rock and indie pop music all around the city of Chicago. Violet, thank you for joining me here today in my studio. I'm going to step over here to my piano. I met you for the first time at an open mic at Gallery Cabaret. I walked in and you were at the piano and you were singing a song that, as I understand it, was potentially featured in a musical that you have written and are performing.
That is super close to the truth. I didn't write the play itself. I wrote the music for the play, and it's much more of a play than a musical. It's a pretty important distinction for me, because I kind of detest musical theater with a very deep part of my heart.
What is it about musical theater that is offensive to you?
It's the shameless two-dimensional nightmare of just a never-ending nostalgia tours for old rich people. It's Carousel, it's West Side Story again. It's no new stories at all, and just old, happy white people get to do stuff on the weekends. It makes me want to puke.
Do you feel there is an opportunity for new voices to emerge in musical theater?
I really have no idea about the market of musical theater, even a little bit, because I have actively sidestepped it at every turn.
Do you identify yourself as a songwriter?
Definitely, because I write songs for sure.
And when you're writing songs, do you often find yourself writing about your ups and downs with mental health and addiction?
Oh, heck yeah.
What is one of those songs?
Because of the Drugs is a pretty clear example of the ride that addiction puts you on.
And because of the drugs,
Yeah.
What does that mean?
A lot of times, titles of things I use incomplete, sort of fragments of like a whole thought that's in the song for the title. So because of the drugs is only half of the phrase, I'm happy for you, but it's only because of the drugs. I wrote that one a long time ago. It was almost 10 years ago. And I had just been diagnosed at this point with dysthymia, because I was always like aware that I was in some way not a stereotypically neurotypical person.
What? So dysthymia?
Dysthymia is a kind of old, it's like diet bipolar disorder. It's a pretty outdated term. I think it's actually not really used anymore.
What are the attributes of that?
It's just a very light. It's a high grade or it's a low grade mania and a low grade depression.
And how long ago were you diagnosed with that?
That was 10 years ago, but it's since then evolved. The diagnosis has evolved as I've become more and more honest with my mental health friends. Initially, I wasn't very forthright with my actual opinions and thoughts and feelings.
Was there a moment that you can recall when there was a transformation from a period of feeling less open, less honest about the experiences you were having with respect to mental health, and what led you to become more open about it or potentially honest with yourself as well?
Last year around March, I came out as trans to myself and to everybody, which was really surprising because I had kind of always preached, the self-knowledge gospel from the Matrix,
What is that, the self-knowledge gospel from the Matrix?
Know thyself, it's above what's-her-face's, the oracle has it in her kitchen. I don't know.
Right.
It's obviously older than that. But the idea that you know yourself and the truth about yourself will set you free in your life and you'll be able to live in a more balanced way. And so
But up to that point, you had not been living that truth.
Up to that point, I had been living aspects of that truth to the best of my ability. I was gender fluid for the preceding 5 years, so I used they them pronouns, or preceding 2 years, I used they them pronouns, and I was very feminine in my presentation and in my dress and in my basically everything. But I didn't have the permission I felt from society to actually transition because I was raised in Michigan, where that was kind of something that, gay people did if they were really crazy, that was my concept of what a trans woman was.
Right.
So that truth, once I kind of got to the point where I am a woman and I'm a trans woman, and it really feels good to say that and feel that and live that, that's just the honesty, obvious.
So once you achieved that personal recognition and honesty, came out about that to yourself and to the outside world, you also gained some sense of empowerment about being honest about your mental health attributes?
Absolutely, but I think that initially I was only trying to deal with, at that point, addiction and the gender dysphoria.
Tell me a little bit about the background of your experience with addiction.
Sure. Right after college, I was like, let's get drinky. And I did. And I drank a big portion pretty much every day. I would, in the middle there for like a year or so, I would just black out every day at some point because I did a lot of crushing up Adderall and snorting it because people would give me Adderall all the time. And so I'd stay up and black out, and I smoked a lot of weed and a lot of cigarettes. I used to smoke like 2 packs a day at like the worst. And I would be like drinking like a pint of Bacardi a day and several beers. And like, so kind of like slowly coming back from that into the honesty of who my true self is without all of the intoxicants. Like, I mean, like, obviously it's yourself from time to time, from moment to moment, you're still yourself, but like, it's a much more authentic and like I said, balanced and integrated kind of a experience of life.
When you're not under the influence.
When I'm not under the influence. And I do regularly still imbibe cannabis, but I find that it's much more of a medicinal aspect of my bipolar medication.
Have you discussed your cannabis use with a medical professional?
Yes, indeed. I almost got PTSD. I almost got a card for it, but I didn't really feel like paying for it.
Would having a card decrease the cost of acquiring marijuana?
I don't think so. Not for me anyway. I know I have lovely connections.
Are you at all concerned about the aspect of the legality of it?
I mean, no. Worst case Ontario, I am a, white person, and the cops really probably won't fuck with me to begin with. And then I'm never carrying more than an eighth on me at any given time, so that's kind of in the decriminalized Chicago we live in today. I think It's only like a misdemeanor, it's only like a fine.
Would you mind going into a little bit more about your experience with your psychiatrist, with your doctor?
Yeah, well, I think that the issue that arose, actually, and what really led me to... Because initially the first experience was the transgender experience that I'd come out, and I was dealing with all that. And then about 2 or 3 months later, I had a full mental collapse and went to the psych ward, and that was where I was diagnosed with mixed bipolar.
Would you take me back to, you said you had a full mental collapse.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was last June.
And could you take me through that story?
Yeah.
Take me through that journey.
I was coming back from work, and I left my phone on the bus, and I lost my mind. I went onto the next bus, and I realized it, and I started hyperventilating and banging on the door to get off to try to, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just going to try to run back to the Damon bus because I was already, like, 2 blocks away, but, I had no way to contact anyone. I had no way to Uber. I had no way to get the phone back, and so it was just like, oh, well, you totally fucked yourself, darling. You're completely... And so basically my negative self-talk is really super powerful and intense. Once it gets rolling, it's incessant.
So you're on the bus.
And so I'm actually off the bus because I bang on the doors and this lady's like, let it off. She's hyperventilating. It's asthma attack or something like that. And then I kind of just walked home screaming all of the negative self-talk in my head. Just unable to contain it. It was just it hurt so much. It was all so it was a judgmental honesty that doesn't really ring true with the power that the honesty that I'm experiencing now does at all. But yeah, so I walked all the way home, and then my roommates were around and they were just chilling. I lived at the music hostel Dysphoria in Logan Square at this point, and they were just kind of milling around, doing their stuff, having the day. And I just was like, I think I have to go to the hospital. I had been working on a play, and my director had said that was an option because I was talking to her about it. And I definitely had, since I was about 8 years old or so, had a pretty baseline suicidal ideation worldview. So I kind of talked to a lot of people about, different suicide things all the time. And I knew that if you went to the psych ward, they'd keep you for 3 days, and then, they'd take all your stuff and you wouldn't be able to do anything. So if you needed to protect yourself, you'd go to the hospital. And I said, I am being so mean to myself, I do not know what I'm going to do. Another part of my recrimination is I will get physical with myself in a punitive way if I feel like I'm whatever, if I feel like I deserve it or something. So, and that's one of the things that marijuana helps me curtail is punching myself in the face. So I didn't really want to do that. And I thought to myself, let's go to the hospital, and then, they'll keep it chill and maybe they'll give me some meds or whatever.
And it was at that point that you were diagnosed with this particular form of bipolar that you were telling me about?
It was after my stay there, yeah. And it was so lovely. I went to Mary Elizabeth something. It's in, I don't remember what it's called, but it's in
And what was
Humboldt
lovely
Park.
about it?
They put me on the women's floor, which was really, really amazing because I was so scared of the boy floor. And
was that was it as simple as you filling out a form and checking female, or was there more to it than
they
that?
gave me a choice to do male, female, or the geriatric ward, like up on the top with dementia patients. And I had initially chose the dementia ward because I was like, that's a suitable third option that doesn't get me in trouble from either angle. But then that was actually full, so then they said your second choice was, and that was the female floor.
When you say get you in trouble, what does that mean?
Well, I've worked in the mental health field before as well as a direct care giver in a group home situation up in Michigan. And in my experience, people who are in that sort of environment tend to lash out in specific ways, and a lot of it's very gender specific, to be perfectly frank. I mean,
So you were concerned that
I was
other
concerned.
inpatients would treat you disrespectfully or negatively because you are transgender.
I was very concerned about that on the male floor, and also concerned because the flavor of lashing out that men usually employ, it's physical. And that really is not my thing.
Of course.
Because I mean, in school, I got beat up a couple times pretty good. So it really is instilled in me to kind of go into, fight, flight, freeze mode, and I just freeze.
And when you say in school, do you mean high school in Michigan?
I mean, elementary and middle school in Michigan. By high
Right.
school, I was not getting beat up anymore.
So are those periods in elementary school, middle school, people being physical towards you, and tell me a little about that. And did you receive any sort of PTSD from those experiences?
Yeah, definitely to some extent. It's also, I mean, I have PTSD coming from a variety of angles.
What can you recall of the experiences of being bullied in grade school and middle school?
I moved to Michigan in second grade from California, and it was a very small community, extremely cliquey community of sort of upper middle class neoconservative people. And their kids thought I was weird and did what kids do, which is, you know,
Right.
kind of what a group of cells would do to the one cell that's not the same as all the other ones.
And at that time, did you feel different? Were you aware of a battle of gender dysmorphia?
Dysphoria.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're good. It's not at that point. I mean, definitely like to some extent, like, but by then, I mean, I was pretty much dissuaded from the idea of expressing any feminine anything after I wore fingernail polish to preschool one time. And everybody gave me so much shit. It was like, why would I ever do this? I thought it was gonna be nice. And it was so fucking hard and terrible.
Were you living with two parents at that point?
I was, in fact, yeah.
And how was their attitude towards you, for example, putting on nail polish?
Mm-hmm. Well, they figured that I was gay, pretty much like right out of the gate. Because I've always presented rather femme, and I have had just a very, feminine presence in my life and in my body. And so it was perceived as gay because my mom wasn't really, both my parents weren't really privy to that sort of dimension of queer life. It was kind of like, you know, gay or straight binary that they were really kind of working with. And gender was just a given, you know. And so I was allowed to explore that, but only in so much as in a very drag way, in a very like put this on, but then you take it off and you're back to being a boy, you know, which was always heartbreaking because like I'd get to look like I wanted and feel like I wanted for a moment, and then it would be like, but here's reality, and it's horrible, crushing doubt and misery and suffering for all the people that you love. And now it's not like that nearly as much.
So now gender and sexuality are not now one and the same.
Mm-mm.
Gender.
Yeah,
right.
the really cute way that the Katie Couric thing on Netflix said was gender is who you go to bed as, and sexual orientation is who you go to bed with.
Gotcha. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm no longer gender fluid. That's something that is sort of on a visual continuum of cis to full trans, you know, sexual life. There's a whole slew of identifiable middle ground places you can identify, which is a lot of, you know, any sort of gender nonconforming situation, which would be just expressively non-binary, or gender nonconforming to the point where there's just, you know, no concept of gender at all, and there's so many different flavors of that. And there's also gender fluidity, which is where you vacillate between one gender and the other, depending on a variety of factors. Like some people it's just how they feel, some people it's just what day it is, you know. There's so many different ways people express that.
So you're not gender fluid?
Not anymore. No, I was for a good long time, just because it felt like the only way that I could actually live with as much truth as I could live at that point, but it was also very limited.
And now you identify as non-cisgender female?
Well, I would say transgender female.
Transgender female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And getting back to mental health, your experience at St. Mary, or that hospital you were referring to. Let's get back to that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
What was the treatment like when you were there?
I had just kind of reconsidered actually staying in the hospital, and I just kind of wanted to talk to somebody, because at that point I still didn't have an emergency therapist or anything like that I could call. And I called my insurance company. There's a nurse line and then there's a behavioral health line, and they're the same thing, by the way. when I called it. So that's Medicaid, and that's okay. But I was just kind of like, I need somebody to talk to. I need to figure this out. I need to actually like work this out right now. And I had, mentioned some aspect of my suicidal ideation, and then they were like, "Whoop, well," and then they admitted me, and they, gave me the change of clothes and administered, I believe right off the bat, they gave me lamotrigine and Wellbutrin, which is what I'm still on. They gave it to me in a really small dose, and then just kind of stayed there, and I figured I was going to stay there for 3 days. I ended up staying there for 5 days, and when I did flip out, I flipped out because they were keeping me for longer than I thought that they were allowed to keep me, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to leave. Oh no, this is not going to be okay. And it was really rough because I was at that point definitely very thoroughly addicted to cigarettes and unable to smoke them, and thoroughly addicted to marijuana and unable to smoke any. And also, they didn't give us razors because of obvious reasons, so I couldn't actually shave, so looking in the mirror was super, super dysphoric. So it was rough from a lot of angles, and I was also really afraid of all the fellow inmates, despite really getting along with them. I just happen to know that a lot of people are capable of being really convincingly duplicitous. So I didn't sleep very well, and they shot me up with Haldol when I flipped out because I started screaming a lot when I realized I wasn't going home when I thought I was going to.
It's interesting, you, just right around the time when you were referring to people as duplicitous, I was thinking back to your song, It's Because of the Drugs That I Can Deal With You, or That I Can Be Okay With You, it sounded like. It's because of the drugs. I'm still curious about the origin of that song. Who is that about, and why did the drugs help you get along with them?
I think that it's been a really stabilizing experience to be medicated like this. I didn't actually know that I could function this well. Like, I kick so much ass now. And that's really what it is. I mean, like, being shitty at someone, holding a grudge, or wishing them ill, or, in any way, not kind of like the idea of not giving someone your love, withholding the love or shitting on them at some point, it's indicative of an incomplete healing journey. You don't just do that because you feel good. You do that because you feel shitty, and you have to find some way to feel better, and you think that that's a good way. And so being happy for someone is, I think evidence of growth and healing. And so in that way, being medicated on that level has sort of integrated me into a much more whole person than I can actually, withstand the idea of someone who abused me, having forgiveness for them or whatever, being happy for people and wishing them fulfillment even when they were horrible. And that kind of thing is definitely informed by that.
Would you say, you said now, and it sounds like you are, you're now kicking so much ass. You're kicking ass.
Oh my God, I'm killing it every day, constantly.
And some of that you attribute to being on the right dosage of medication and marijuana, etc.
Mm-hmm. And therapy as well.
And therapy.
Yeah. And art.
Talk to me a little bit about that art. What is it that art gives you, and how do you express through art, or how does art help you express your healthy mindset?
Well, art helps me express whatever mindset. It's not.
Right.
It would ideally be always healthy, but it's not, and that's I think part of what makes me so relatable. In my most recent song, it's called "The Best" that I've written. It's the second verse that says, "Kinda wanna die pretty much all the time, but I can't try because all of your goddamn love has kept me alive."
Is that a song that you play and sing on piano?
Mm-hmm.
Would you hop over here to these keys and play a little bit of it?
Sure. This is called "The Best," and it is the best song I've ever written so far. It is an exploration of my current consciousness, which is pretty dense and complex, just like all of us. Fucking love the way I hide how I feel till I just can't. I don't wanna hide anymore. Suddenly I'm not falling through the floor. Baby, you and me. Give me some more, fucking with the best, dying like the rest, fucking with the best. Kinda wanna die pretty much all of the time, but I can't try because all of your goddamn love has kept me alive. So I'm not gonna hide anymore. Scream until my soul is sore. Is a carnivore. Baby, you and me. Clear as the day, golden and blue, around you, oh, right here, right now. I know I found
I identify with a lot of that, and that you would have harmed yourself, but somebody's love was keeping you going.
Not even harmed, like I would be fucking dead if it wasn't for the guilt of people's love. Yeah, that's kind of how I was initially writing it and feeling, but it's much more about like being the best is like the best version of myself, and everybody kind of, you know, I was out there flipping like a Cirque du Soleil and everybody really safety netted me and in a really sort of baseline human way just gave me their love and I couldn't go anywhere, you know?
This everybody that you're talking about.
Just the people in my life, my friends.
Are these friends who are also people who struggle with their mental health?
Oh yeah, I'm mostly friends with artists, so yeah. I definitely feel like I've had a pretty unique opportunity to explore some really, really heavy themes. And it's very much a journalistic pursuit. Like I want to be able to phrase things so well that people feel them and they don't feel alone when they hear that. Because then I'm doing it too and they're doing it too. And that's super powerful and grounding and nice.
Have you had moments of feedback from people who have heard your songs or seen your work or read your words, people giving you indications that you maybe have done for them, have them be seen in maybe ways that other people have seen you along the way?
Yeah, definitely. I cry about that a lot. People say really, really nice things to me. Yeah. After a show at the gallery, I was sitting in the booth there by the entrance, and I sit there kind of like as people are leaving so that they can say hi and stuff. And this lady came up to me. She just kind of like made really super deep eye contact with me, and she said, "Thank you." And then she said, "You make me brave." And I just like lost my mind. You know what I mean? I was gone. Yeah. The thing that I always say that's a part of being a rock star that no one really understands is that you're singing these really, really cathartic songs about this really, really deep vulnerable and sensitive subject matter, people see that and they respond to it and they feel immediately comfortable expressing these things to you. And so I'll be sitting in the bar and everybody's, drinking and hanging out, and people tell me really intense things all the time. And I'm kind of here to assimilate that information. And that's why I say I eat demons at my shows. It's a free exorcism situation. I eat demons with my heart because I'm naturally predisposed to have divine respect for even the most unbelievably cruel and negative chaotic energy.
So if you could exercise demons here with me, would you share with me an improvised song? A song about taking on the burden or exercising the demons, like a little bit of almost a commercial for yourself as, send me your demons sort of thing, right? How does this sound for it?
That's pretty good. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, everyone outside in between, come on, bring your demons to my explicit scene. Oh, I'll eat them with my heart before they tear you apart. I'll eat them with my heart before they tear you into itty-bitty shreds, before they leave you wishing you were dead, before they explode your fucking head, before they repeat what you said.
And now from the other person's perspective, the gratitude of having those demons relieved. Violet, that was incredible.
Thanks.
I hope the mics got all of that.
I tried to get away from them.
Right. I'm really interested to see what that mix sounds like.
Sure. I'll overdub it if you need me to. Thank you for letting me do this, David. This is fun.
I'm so glad you came by, Violet.
Yeah.
Thank you again to Violet. Catch her fronting hard rock supergroup Dr. Death Crush every first Friday at the illustrious Gallery Cabaret in Bucktown, 10 p.m. for free. She'll be starring in Bipolar Bitch, aka Bipolar Beauty, every Saturday at the Charnel House in Logan Square, 9 p.m. for $15, now through June 8th. You can friend and follow her on Facebook at Violet or on Instagram at The Violet TV and at Motherfucking Violet. And I will definitely see you there for all of these, Violet. Take good care. That wraps up this episode of Crazy Right with Dave Asher. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider writing a review or rating this podcast. And of course, we would love it if you subscribe. I'm Dave Asher, and I'm glad to be here.